Well, I managed to get this flat tire on my backhoe because I was wanting to seed our new lawn around the pond. But I can't get our yard seeded until I move this giant pile of topsoil out of the way. But I can't move the topsoil until I get this old barn foundation buried. But I couldn't bury the foundation until the building was all cleaned out and torn down. You know, this is starting to be a long story. I'm just gonna take you back 2 years to when this all started. In the meantime, I'm gonna try to get this tire fixed, and that way you'll be all caught up.
Dig Drive DIY!
Nobody wants to tear down an old barn. They're a standing symbol of our rich rural history, a reminder of someone's dream, their livelihood, their legacy. And it's not uncommon around here to see an old farmstead where just the big barn remains. What once was the centerpiece of a bustling multi-generational farming operation oftentimes gets demoted to becoming just a dry place to park a few wagons and store some unwanted junk. They begin to deteriorate over time and usually reach a point where the cost of repair and upgrade outweighs the cost of a modern, more practical replacement. So, when the insurance company tells you the barn and its contents can no longer be covered and the unwelcomed inhabitants begin to take over, there comes a time when it's just best to say goodbye. No matter how badly we wish we could preserve it. But every old barn has a story to tell, and if we're lucky, we can still hear about it from the folks that were there during the glory years. What's your earliest memory of this barn? What do you think? How old is this barn?
Well, it has to be at least 85 years old. We moved here in 1933.
Who did you buy this property from? Was this a...
This is inherited through the Walkers.
It was inherited through the Walkers?
Yes. My grandmother, Rupert, was a daughter of Marvin L. Walker.
Okay.
And she was a sister to your great-great-grandfather, Charles Walker. Your great-great-grandfather.
Ms. Rupert's father, Verney, used this barn while he was farming. And then once he retired from that, it became his tinker workshop. We sorted through the contents of this barn for weeks, but the first things to come out were those that had been stashed away most recently, meaning within the last 20 years or so. Whoa, a Bronco.
Yep, got a true barn find here.
But as we dug deeper and uncovered more years of history, it was easy to get a glimpse into the man that once spent so much time in here. And even though Verney's been gone for more than 30 years now, his presence was still very evident in the treasures we discovered inside.
It's a chain tool.
Easy chain detacher.
Yep.
Nut.
Yep. The old chains on a corn picker, they lock together, and you'd put the chain in here, whatever size chain it was or how big it was, and then that would hold the one, and then you'd drive it in.
So one of the first things we're trying to accomplish is that the haymow fell down from up above into this area of the barn, and this is where we got a bunch of stuff that we kind of want to get out before it gets torn down. So we're going to see if we can reach in there with the backhoe, support the haymow, and hold it up so we can get some of this stuff out of here. Good wheelbarrow. You want a wheelbarrow crane? So Dad built this little red wagon to pull behind the 200 ATC 3-wheeler that's at my house. So it's got some sentimental value. He built it for my grandpa and grandma when they were riding the 3-wheeler around. It's not really damaged yet. He'd like to get this out. That's their main goal, is to get this wagon out. There's also a cab that he built for a John Deere 140 back there. And it isn't smashed yet, and he'd like to have that out too. He built that cab custom for Verney, the guy that lived here. There's a picture of this cab on Dad's 140 when he built it for Verney. You didn't want to see this get smashed, did you?
No.
Custom wagons. Verney lived here, and now his only child, his daughter, who never married, is the only heir. Dad, you've been groundskeeper for 40 years here now? Well, I want to save all this stuff too, but I just think that it winds up in your barn like it's in Verney's barn, and then somebody cleans it out, because you can go buy one of these at Harbor Freight for $20 that works. Some of Verney's inventions here. Electric buzzsaw. We got to fire that up and see if we can cut an arm off. What was the rear end for?
That was the wood splitter.
Ooh.
That's where the screw bolted onto the thing and spun the rear end and turned the screw.
Somebody might like that rear end. Yeah. So this was a wood splitter device. Yeah. 1-row planter. That probably attached to the John Deere 140. Yeah. All kinds of fans for his popcorn operation. Ooh, there's a little barrel stove. Here's another homemade implement. Potato plow. This is the table saw?
Yeah.
Holy crap. Look at that.
That's not.
This is part of it. So Bernie was a master tinkerer and he built all this stuff. You could buy it at the time, but it was expensive. This is some kind of sweet corn apparatus. That's a sweet corn apparatus. Air compressor. These are little implements that fit the 140.
That saved me like 22 bucks.
So the whole mission was to get this trailer out of there, right? So I think we hook onto that with a chain so that if I lift this up,
Yeah, just enough we can pull it out. That's all we need.
we just want to keep this trailer. Hey, you got it. There's more stuff in there, but it's gonna be a victim. We're not gonna try to get in there. That beam is heavy, and that's got the wagon out. Mission accomplished. You pay? No, somebody pays to tear it down, right? How much do they give? How much do they give for this?
Give them $1,000 for it.
$1,000 for the barn. They get to keep all the barn siding and the big, huge beams that are in here.
The metal too.
The metal roofing.
Oh, the corrugated steel, because
Yep.
they'll repurpose all that.
He says he sends beams all over the country.
I wonder how old this barn is. Any idea?
Laura thought it's been here for at least 100 years.
100 years.
That's what she said.
I would say easily. So
That some bucks has held up for 100 years pretty good.
explain, well, why tear it down though? It looks like it's in pretty good shape. Why would we tear it down?
Well,
Paying taxes on it.
she's paying taxes on it for one thing.
Insurance.
There's only one spot in the whole barn that's usable to put anything in the store, like old Broncos or whatever.
Yeah, if I wanted to keep a Bronco, this seems like a good place.
Yeah.
The way they were built 100 years ago was to put hay in them. So they're way taller than what they need to be for today. And nobody puts up hay or straw in them anymore. So most of the cubic footage within the inside of them is all just wasted space. Some of the siding's coming off.
Some of the siding's coming off. The foundation is all cracked and crumbled.
That's going to say the biggest reason is the foundation is probably shot. And the owner lives here by herself. She's getting on now in years, and she doesn't come out here at all, right?
No,
You take care of it. Even coming here once a week to mow the grass, it doesn't keep the groundhogs out.
no.
The groundhogs are the biggest problem to all these old buildings. They just, groundhogs and raccoons, is that what you're gonna say? So I know a lot of people are gonna say, well, why don't you save this barn? Well, the reason is that it just costs too much money to try to save something like this. It's a shame to see them come down, but unless you have a ton of money to dump into one.
We have a neighbor over here about 2 miles away. She had a barn similar to this, maybe just a hair bit bigger. And they redid the whole barn, new footers, concreted part of the floor, new siding, and it was close to 65 grand to do that.
65,000, and you still got kind of an old.
You got inside it's old, outside it looks new.
That's why we're tearing it down, unfortunately. You can see right in there now. Here's what they're doing with the boards. They cut all this siding to even lengths, and then they bundle it up and they resell it. And the guy said that all this is going to Texas. His buyer is in Texas, so some of these boards here are phenomenal. These big wide boards, those are awesome. I'd like to have some of those. Now you can see in there a little bit better. More junk to get rid of. Lots of raccoon poop. Then I gotta try to tear out all this concrete and this slab. So you about ready, are you?
Yeah. You ready?
Tell me what you did to pull it over.
We cut all the side braces, and then up at the top of the barn, any brace that was going this way, we cut out.
We cut them out.
Yeah.
So you're going to try to basically rack it.
Yeah, we'll lay it over this way.
Well, standing for over 100 years and down in about 10 minutes. Well, this is cool. It's a shame to see it come down, but it's
At least it's getting a new home. I mean, it's not
not firewood.
burnt. Yeah.
One more thing I wanted to ask you.
Uh-huh.
How do you get all these boards that had the raccoon crap all over them?
Pressure wash them.
Just you pressure wash them all?
Yeah.
Does that pretty much get the smell out of them, or?
Yeah, it gets them pretty clean. Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah. With the water getting.
Well, you know where it's at.
Green Springs, it sharpens them. $7.
Good pry bar, pinch bar. Oh. Concrete in the floor of this building. I never knew there was concrete in here. Well, it looks like the removal crew is about done getting everything torn down and all the timber out of here. They got a semi coming and they're going to load up the rest of the beams here this afternoon. So they're going to be moving out, and this is pretty much what we've got left to clean up and bury and get rid of. So I would imagine that we're just going to bring the field and they'll farm this now, so not much concern with the yard or what we do with the bury hole. But it sure looks different. I'm sad, but I'm glad that it's over. Oh, I see it now. Yeah.
Oh. VLR, September 28, 1943.
Now I see it. Yeah, Vernon Leo Rupert. All right, we're here at the former site of this big barn, and the foundation, what's left of the concrete and the footer on the outside's got to get torn out. The homeowner has decided we're just going to bury it here on site. We're probably going to farm across the top of this once this is all removed. So at some point it'll just be farm field, and we'll put the hole deep enough to where the debris is, got 4 feet of cover. Shouldn't be an issue. We're going to dig the hole back here, right where the excavator is, and then pitch all the stuff in here. Okay, we've got the barn and the footers. You can see where the footers were. Excavated all the footers out. There's a lot of brick in there and a lot of junk. We got everything buried, covered up. 3 feet of cover, 3 or 4 feet of cover down there. I don't like burying this stuff. I feel bad. I don't like it. But that's what a landfill is too, so I don't know. It is what it is. This will all be farm field through here now. And then we'll be able to haul some of my dirt over here. We're going to actually probably truck some of this clay out of here. We're going to have way too much. So I wasn't filming much over there as I buried that foundation because, well, that wasn't really the story I was going for at the time. But what I think happened is there was a lot of concrete I was pushing with the backhoe, and that's dangerous. But I think a big chunk got inside the rim here, probably fell inside the rim and hit the valve stem and bent it and knocked it loose. And that's why this tire's leaking. So I need to just change out the valve stem. Shouldn't be too bad. Sometimes this works pretty slick. If we pinch the tire, sometimes it's just enough to squeeze it onto the bead. There it went. That was enough. We hated to see Verney's barn come down too. It's one of those inevitable things that you can see coming for 20 years ahead of time, and it still doesn't make it any easier when the time officially comes. But, you know, we can't hold on to everything from the past, but it never hurts to keep a few pieces of it. Check this out. This is one of the items we found in Vernie's barn. It's a homemade measuring wheel. He used some implement tire and he's got a counter on there and he bolted a peg to the wheel and he probably had to figure out what was the right circumference to make it click right. And then he fashioned this bracket out of old steel. You can see where he bent it. It bends easier when there's a hole. Then it clicks. This right here is so Vernie, and he's been gone for a long time, but I still think about him an awful lot. And it's stuff like this that enables you to do that. It keeps it fresh in your mind, and now look how many more people are gonna know who Vernie was just because of this video. But I bet you got somebody in mind or a building in mind that makes you think the same way. So share with us down in the comments any of your stories that kind of go along with this. But so I'm gonna go get to work measuring up out back to see how much seed and straw I'm gonna need. But I wanna thank you for clicking on this video. I hope that you liked it. If I'm lucky, I'll see you in the next one. By the way, one of these upcoming videos is gonna be all about a barn that's, well, pretty happy about its current situation. Not all of them have to come down. All right, thanks so much. See you next time.